So this is the Grandstand Firefox F-7. It has no signs of life. It's a battery cover. It's gone to the wherever all the other battery covers go. I'm sure there's a mountain of battery covers somewhere. But I've got no batteries. But I do have a Mega Drive center negative power supply that I've made up, and the other end goes to me power supply, and as luck would have it, it fits in there. The first thing to look at is that's got some corrosion in there. But we'll give it a shot. I know it's not going to come on, I've already tested it, but for the video, it does actually say negative polarity for alkaline batteries. And the Mega Drive, this cable that I've made up for the Mega Drive 1 is also center negative, so I'm okay with that. So if I put my power supply on and set it for 6 volts, because there's 4 batteries, 1.5 volts each, 6 volts, and switch it on, get nothing. No signs of any life, nothing from the speakers, and the power supply is taking 0 amps, so nothing at all is switching on there. Just for good measure, I will pop a bit of IPE in there. The power supply is off at the moment. Power that back on, and still nothing. Now, just for good measure, this is the battery terminal which connects the batteries together. So on this one, this is the side that goes to the circuit board. So I'll connect my negative to there, and I'll hold my positive on that one. Put my power supply back on, and I will just try that, and I'm still getting nothing through the battery terminals. So I've tested the battery terminals and the jack plug. So we're going to have to open this up. It has 6 screws. Let's get this opened up, see what's inside. Right, does this bottom lift off? Yep. I'm sure Steve has got one screw underneath there. I'm wondering if those marks are where someone's took that top off. So someone might have been in here before. Don't want to lose that. Right, put that on one side. So what we've got. No loose cables. The wires on the battery terminals look like they're all still connected up. Alright, first things first. Check that switch. So the switches are just sliders. It is quite mucky. Let's give that a clean. If this is a dirty switch, I'll be surprised. But it is quite mucky. Could just bridge those. I'll put my power supply back in. Alright, still no signs of life. I am on 6 volts. We can check that with the multimeter. 6 volts are coming in, going to here. If I bridge that, I've got 6 volts on this side, and that comes along this trace to here. And I've got my 6 volts. So I've got 6 volts coming all the way to here, to this ribbon cable. So we're going to have to take this board out, take it from there. Right, now to get this board out, so I'm going to desolder those battery terminals. They're labelled up positive and negative, so I don't have to worry about it. I've got 6 volts coming in here, comes along to here, and it comes to the 1, 2, 3, 4th pin. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it comes to here, runs along here, and I can trace it to this TX, whatever that is. I'll test for 6 volts there to make sure it's getting up to there. With my power supply back on, I cannot test it. I need something to jump that. If I put 6 volts there, 4th pin in, there's my 6 volts, and then it runs along to this capacitor here, 6 volts, and onto this pin, 6 volts. So I'm getting 6 volts all the way to this component. So what is that component? A TX30. I did notice this, which I thought was a bit strange. That looks legitimate. It doesn't look like an error. Something missing from there? And a little transistor here. This looks like, is that a MOSFET? Or a, it's a D88. It's a D882. I wonder if it's a voltage regulator. I'll have a look on Google. NPN transistor with a collector, 5 amps, switching and amplification purposes. So emitter, collector and base. Let's see if we can get any readings from that. So that just bypasses the switch. So when I power it on, I should have my 6 volts. Yes, all the way to there. So my 6 volts comes to this component, whatever that is, and it comes out on this pin, and it goes to the middle pin of the transistor, and then it comes out of the transistor to here, which looks like the other transistor comes out of the other transistor here. No, wait a second. It comes to there here. I've got 6 volts on this one. 6 volts there. No volts there. 6 volts here. 6 volts to here. And this one, that's the collector. 6 volts. The base, I've got 6 volts. And the emitter, I've got nothing. So the emitter and this transistor isn't outputting anything. I have a feeling it should be. But I've also got another little transistor here, which is a C945. See what that is. So this small transistor is got 6 volts on the emitter, and it's going into the base of this transistor, but the emitter of this transistor isn't putting anything out. So I'm going to take that one out, and I'm going to test it with my multimeter and see if I can work out how to test that and if it's working. Now, I'm not used to testing these, so I might be doing this wrong. I'll have to look this up. Okay, I've taken this off the board. It's a 882 NPN transistor, and if I put my multimeter in diode mode, and if I have my positive on B for the base, and I put my negative on the emitter, I should have a voltage drop. Now I've salvaged this transistor from a power supply, and I do get the voltage drop that I'm looking for on this one. So I'm quite confident that this one is working. It's a transistor, it's an NPN transistor as well. It's not the same model, but I've got no choice at the minute. I think I'll put this one in and we'll see if that fixes the problem. I've put a new transistor on this one to replace the faulty one, and we're going to try and put some voltage back into it and see if it's fixed the issue. So hopefully this will come on. And I still have nothing. Right, start again. On. 6 volts. Now I've got 4.5 volts now coming out. I've got 5.5 going in. 4.6, 4.8. Dropped off. It's going up and down. Now I didn't have that before. Comes along here. There's one of these pins on the chip. There it is. So the chip's getting power. At least some of it. This looks interesting. What's this? 4. Power comes along. Is that for the screen? The screen's getting power too. 4.3 volts. But it's not coming on. I do feel like I'm getting somewhere. But the screen's not coming on. Is there a bulb? Nope. Right, well, we'll switch that off. We'll have another look. We'll see what we can see. So I've still got nothing. Now I get 5 volts coming out of this one, 6 volts on here, but I've gone back to, see, that's ground. I would expect that to be ground. Do transistors go to ground? I look like I've got a missing component here. I'm really confused. Because I've just soldered that ground lead back on there and I realised it goes to ground. Why does this leg of the transistor go to ground? Have I got the transistor the right way around? Or have I got it the wrong way around? Where's my piece of paper? I've put that transistor in the wrong way around, I think. I'll take it out and I'll swap it round. I feel a bit stupid. Oh, I'm getting fed up with this. Right. Let's try that. Well, I'm starting to lose faith in myself. Make sure that's still on. Get these leads out of the way. Positive, negative, still connected up. Power supply on. Now, it's now drawing 0.8 of an amp, but the screen's not on. Now that's interesting. 0.8 of an amp I'm pulling on the power supply, so something's on. Let's have a look at the top of this. On, off, which we've bypassed. But I'm pretty sure that screen should be on though. Can I jump the sound and see if we can get some sound? There is a burn. I don't know if that's a burn mark or it could be a manufacturing mark. On, ah, you bugger! Just burnt my finger on that transistor. It's getting mad hot. I'm not sure if that should be getting that hot. Now I'm starting to wonder if that transistor is pulling the current. I'm just pulling the current to ground. Because it's getting very hot. It's just that transistor heating up. That's not right. I'm going to turn that off. I've got a burn mark on my finger. Nope, that's not right. That doesn't seem right at all. I might have to order some 888 transistors. Okay, that's interesting. So I've put this back on, and now when I switch it on with the sound on, I did get some audio there. Just pressing these buttons. Right, we're off. We're on. Sound is on. Start. Come on. I'm still drawing 800 milliamps. Why am I not getting me sound anymore? Come on. Right, I've just cleaned them up. I haven't been able to see it. That just sits back on top of there. Power back on. Now, if I hold this up to the speaker and turn it back on, I've had it working, you know, I've had the speakers on, but it's intermittent. That's so annoying. It wouldn't be too bad if you could see part of it coming on. Why do I get the difficult ones? Right, let's see if we can hear something. I'm going to switch it on now. There we go. You should be able to hear that. It did make a noise. And now it doesn't. So it plays the noise once and then stops. And then it won't play it again. But the screen still doesn't come on. I'm just going to flow the connectors to the screen just to rule it out. Okay, so that's all the screen connectors reflowed. Power back on. Power's on. Sound's on. But still no screen. I think I'm going to have to go ahead and reflow these pins for the CPUs. Right, there's all the pins on D1771C011. And switching on, just get the intro music once. I wonder if it's one of these capacitors then. Let's reflow these. Right, let's hear that chip done. This larger one at the bottom. I know you cannot see it at the time being. Switch it on. There's the music, but again, it doesn't do anything. Why is that? The power supply tells me the unit's drawn 800 milliamps, which is far too much. It's been noted it could be a diode fault, so I've raised this diode off the board and I'm still getting 0.800, so I'm going to do that one by one with the rest of the diodes on the board and see if we can get that the milliamps to drop, and that might help us identify which diode I need to replace. Still 700.7778. Them two are off. That one's off. That one's off. I've missed one. I've got S9 at the bottom here. Okay, here we go. Still drawing. It's gone up. 828.83. Now it's drawing more current. Back to the drawing board. I haven't had any luck working on these diodes. I've pulled them all out, one side of each one, and I'm still having this. This is still overheating and drawing too much current. Now that is being triggered by this little transistor here. So we're going to pull that out and we're going to test that. The C945 is a 0.7 drop and base to collector is a 0.7 drop. So I think that's okay. And I've got OL on my collector to the emitter. So I do indeed think that transistor is fine. This is my little component tester. And I'm just going to double check, see what it brings up. Unknown or damaged part. Marvelous. Push it right in there. There we go. NPN transistor. So that is working. So I need to put that back in. This is the one I took out, which I believe is faulty. Push that right in. Now that's coming up as just a resistor, you see. So that must be faulty. I'll try that again. Yep. That's faulty. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to remove the capacitors and test them, take them off the board and see if that lowers the amperage being pulled from the power supply. I didn't record removing the capacitors and testing them, so this is a voiceover. After the capacitors are removed, the amperage did not drop. Some of the capacitors are out of the limit, so they need replacing. Removing all of the capacitors from the board does not lower the amperage being drawn. Okay, so it's been a couple of days and I've picked up some replacement 882s, which is the correct power transistor for this. And as you can see, this one's the new one and it's working. So I'm just going to quickly replace that. And the board does have the correct pins, so you cannot get that wrong. So we'll connect this to the power supply and see if it's lowered the amperage that it's taken. So now that's dropped to 400, 500 amps. That's gone back up to 800. That went up to 1 amp. It's taken 300 now, which is about right. So power off. Let's put these capacitors back in, put these diodes back on. All capacitors back in. Right, let's see if we get some some action on the screen. And no, we don't. It's taken 390, 200 amps. So the amps has dropped, but I'm not getting anything on the screen. And I'm not getting any noise. I did have the speaker working. There doesn't seem to be a volume control on this thing. Give it some power. It's taking 400. The screen's not coming on. This black mark on the screen is a good sign. If that was white, it means the screen's damaged. Right, even though it's still not working, I do feel like I'm getting somewhere with it. I think a recap wouldn't go amiss. These transistors are tested and working. I'm getting 6 volts from the transistor going into the transformer, but I'm not getting any. Now I am. 6 volts out, nothing on that one, nothing on that one, nothing, nothing, nothing. But I've got no voltage coming out on any of the other pins. And I've also have no voltage on any of these diodes. It leads us to think there's a problem with this transformer. So I've been testing this in DC mode, but it's been pointed out that the output is AC. So testing these pins, the output pins, which are what I would believe would be the output pins in AC, still gives us no voltage on the outputs. If this is the primary coil, well, surely that's Earth. Surely if this is the primary coil and I've got 6 volts, why am I not getting any output on the secondary coils? I just can't understand it. So I think I'll take the transformer off and see if I can find which pins connected to each other. There we have it. So I'll label the pins up. There's a mark on the motherboard and a mark, a little arrow here to line it back up. So I'll label the pins up 1 to 10 counterclockwise, and we'll test for continuity between each one and see if we can work out which way the windings are going. So it looks like pin 1 and pin 10 are connected. So 3 is connected to 4, 5 and 6. Well, I couldn't find anything wrong with the transformer, but while it was out, I also took out the 882 transistor, and that had developed a fault. It was faulty. So this is a new 882 transistor. Okay, so we have a display. Got some game sounds, but they're quite quiet. Don't know if you can hear that. I think that should be probably louder, but it might be louder in the case. The joystick goes over to the left, okay, but not the right. So we need to do something with that. At the beginning, oh, I do get a sound there. So there must be perhaps a broken cable. I think there must be a broken cable on the speaker, because sometimes I'm getting sound and sometimes I'm not. When I first switch the game on, the sound comes from this little piezo speaker, and I'm getting it sometimes and sometimes I'm not. So that's what I'd like to look at first before I concentrate on these controls. Got a beep and no beep. Got a beep and no beep. I'll see if I can find a small piece of wire to replace that. And while I'm on, I may as well replace the other one. Right, let's try that. I don't think my microphone will pick up the sound, and it hasn't. No, it's not picking it up. Ah, perhaps it's the no, it could be these are left and right sound. They might not be making contact. So if I press at the top here, Nope. No. It was working a minute ago. What's happening here? Why is that? Right, that works. And the smaller cable, that works. So it is working. Is it just this connection? Let's bridge that with a bit of solder. Switch it on. Power's on. See if I can get the game to come on. Yeah, that sound's not working. This is the switch for the sound, so it's this connector to here. So I'm going to bridge that with a bit of cable, so I don't have to worry about it. Right again. Switch on. No, my little intro sound's not working. I'm starting to wonder if the game sound comes from that little piezo now. Or does it come from here? These look terrible. Do I replace those too? Right, both speaker wires have been replaced. So let's switch on and see. Why am I getting no sound? I'm getting no sound because I've got that off. There's my sound. That speaker's working. But this little piezo one isn't. Well, I'm getting no intro sound. I'm a bit fed up now. So now I should have permanent sounds. And I don't. What the hell's going on here? This is annoying to me. I've got intermittent sound. So I've bypassed the switches on these speakers. I haven't bypassed this one. I'll bypass this one too. So all I've done there is bypassed these two sound switches. Why a console has to have sound switches is beyond me. So if I turn that on and use the select to start a game, I'm getting some sounds, but not all. Now I did have a fire sound before, but I'm not getting it now. Nope. Drop my button. Oh, this is very annoying. So I think I've ruled out the switches. The game's paused. Why is the game paused? Oh no, there we go. So I've still got no sound. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all over all the diodes and the capacitors and just resolder everything that I've taken off and put back on. Still getting intermittent audio. This is the switch for the small piezo, which I've bypassed. So that goes up on pin 1. We'll call this pin 1. Pin 1, which is here. Along here to this resistor. So this resistor R05 should have continuity to the piezo. We'll just check it to here first. Beep. No beep. So have I got a problem with this ribbon cable then? As this cable became damaged while I've been working on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off here and I'm going to attach it straight to R05. No, I'm not. I'm going to attach it to the other end of that ribbon cable. So if I pull this off and I attach it to this end of the ribbon cable, I should have continuity from the resistor, and I do. So now if I switch it on, let's see, you might not hear this because it's so small, but I'll try it. Ah, there we go. That's on. So it's the ribbon cable that's causing us problems. So there's a fault with the ribbon cable, and to check it, I am going to do exactly the same with the larger speaker. It's becoming a bit of a Frankenstein, this. So there's my intro sound. There's my game sounds. I'm still not getting a fire sound. I'm partially there. There's another one I might have to bridge. Let's turn that off. Because I've bridged the switch, but I haven't bridged this one. So that's pin 2. I wonder what other problems this faulty cable, connector cable, has been causing us. Because I've had a bit of a nightmare with this not working. Right, that's that one bridged. Let's try it again. Good volume. Just waiting for the game to start. I've still got no fire button sounds. And the game, I've got no in-game sounds. Is that still related to one of these broken traces? I think I'm going to have to replace this ribbon cable before I do anything else. So I've got 10 wires to replace the ribbon cable. Took some doing, but they're all on. Right, what's the chances of this working first time? Let's take a look. Power on. Intro sounds playing. Start game. Here we go. I've got no fire sound. But me left and right triggers are working. Left and right is working now. Can I select a different game? The select button didn't work before. Yep, game 1, game 2, game 3. That, presumably that's level hardness, I would have thought. Nice. Well, I'm 90% there. I just need some game sounds. I'm not exactly sure which speaker they come through. I would expect it's this larger one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to desolder these, the larger speaker, and I'm going to solder it in place of the smaller speaker, and just to test to make sure that that larger one is working. I'm not having much luck with this replacement red cable. It's just, it seems to be snapping far too easily. So I'm going to replace it again. I'm going to find some better cable for it, because these wires just don't seem to be working very well at all. It's just snapping like crazy. Right, so I've replaced the small piezo for the larger one. Okay, so you should be able to hear that. That is working. That's confirmed. The speaker does indeed work. This cable's terrible. I'm gonna have to buy myself some. Some better wire. So that's the small piezo back on. Right, that's working. You should be able to hear that working. Okay, so we're back to there. We'll pop this speaker back on, and we'll bypass the switch. We'll do a test to make sure it's still not working. There's the little one on. Still, there's no in-game sounds. So let's trace each one of those to the nearest component. Orange comes along to the switch, and then 2, 3 on the ribbon cable. Cable 3 on the ribbon cable. So now where does that go? So pin 3 looks like it goes to here, to here, to here, to here, to here, which is the chip. I've just got a resistor, R11, then it goes to the pin. So it's possibly the chip. Let's do the same with the other wire, from here to pin 2, the second pin, which is this one. That should go to the outside of the switch. It does. Then comes to here, and then which goes to this other pin on the sound chip. So this sound chip may not be getting voltage, because I know the speaker works and I've got a direct contact. I've got a direct line of continuity from the speaker, which we know works, to this. This must be a sound chip, perhaps. So now I've got something to research. It must have voltage on it. You would think that the capacitor would be connected to voltage. The positive on that capacitor goes to... Right, let's bypass that switch again. Everything's going to end up bypassed on this machine. It's not going to know. End up not knowing what wire connects to what. So there's definitely something going on with this component. This must be the sound chip. Both of these wires from the speaker, which we know works, goes to here. Let's see if I can find some information about that chip. If I can get a pin out. I've got the voltage on the chip. I've replaced the faulty wires. I was having trouble with the wires earlier, so I've used an IDE cable. If anyone remembers IDE cables out of a PC, I've replaced that, and I still have no audio from this chip. If I switch on, the chip is getting voltage that it requires on the 3 pins, but there still is no in-game audio. So I'm starting to think that the chip's faulty. So that's about as far as I can take this, suspecting that the chip could be faulty. Either a faulty chip, or perhaps this component, which is X01, which is that little blue and orange component there. So what do you do when you can't replace that component and you can't troubleshoot the problem? You throw it in the bin. You buy another Grandstand Firefox that's not working, and you hope you can use this one to fix the other one, or perhaps with any luck get both of them working. So that's what I've done. I bought another faulty Firefox F-7, and that'll be coming up in the next video, because this one's already about 45 minutes long. So the next video I'm going to be looking at this one. If I can get this one working, I can compare them together, and hopefully we can get one of them, at least one of them, working. So if you've watched all the way to the end of this video, thank you very much. And this one will be coming up in the very near future. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.